What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review a bonus EP that came out by Twiztid in 2020. Basically, this product is called Freak Show. Disturbed and Unheard, a celebration of 20 years, and it came out in the late fall of 2020. So the thing about this particular product is this is basically like the concept of disc. The 20 years later aspect as far as Freak Show coming out in the year 2000, and the 20 years after as far as this pitch can happen now. This is some really excellent type of appeal. If you remember the Acid Roots channel from back in the early 2020s, I did do a video hyping up that particular product because they announced it like in September, October 2020. I made like a miniature video talking about that. Got about 200 something hits as far as this pitch can happen, but I never reviewed it because I didn't know what happened to it. I thought they canceled it back in the day. I didn't pay enough attention back in those particular days. Wanted to get to it just within those tones because it's some excellent type fare. Now the pitch behind it, there's not a ton of product really talked about within that particular fare about it, but this is another classic here. You know, I thoroughly enjoy Freak Shows for this pitch can happen. Real excellent type fare. I reviewed the Green album, or I reviewed the Green Book recently. That was a classic. Most Tasteless was a pretty good classic as well. So there's a lot of these Twiztid products I've thoroughly enjoyed within the past couple of years, just in the pitch behind some of these. I think when I reviewed the original Freak Show back in early 2016, I think I gave it like a lower score. Not like I gave it like a 4 or a 5 out of 10. I don't know if I gave it like a 9 or a 10, but nowadays I'd probably definitely appreciate the album more. But this particular Disturbed and Unheard bonus EP of like unreleased and cut songs, scrap songs from that particular album, some pretty excellent type fare. A lot of these feel like they probably should have been on here just in the pitch behind it. Just excellent kind of blistering type of feel that just has like some vicious aspects and continues that trend of what Twiztid was up to just in the pitch. I mean, this is like this particular era for Twiztid, kind of similar to Eminem and like the Marshall Mathers LP days. I think most folks would probably have beyond excitement for getting like some new tunes from like the Marshall Mathers LP from 2000, or like Tupac from All Eyes on Me days. Like I would say ICP from like the Great Malenko, or the Amazing Jekyll Brothers days, some of those type ones, or even Riddle Box and like 50 Cent from Get Rich or Die Trying, some of those type pitches. This is definitely, I would definitely feel like, in my opinion, that Freak Show is a prime era for Twiztid. That was one of their more heralded. Now the Green Book had more singles, a little bit more commercial appeal, but that one definitely had like the, just in terms of the haunting aspect and the delivery of how it did, it was just a real prime aspect to kind of get within that. So it's definitely good. It's definitely good within that flair to have some more bonus type content, just some extra kind of loose songs kind of get within that tone of just nailing the aspect behind it. So it's a good type of appeal. All 6 of these songs on this EP I recommend. So it's simple enough to say this EP is going to get a 10 out of 10. Just basic conduct within that, just more haunted type flair just within the aspect. Just would have to say. So the thing about this product though is just the fact that it seems like it's seemingly rare within the pitch. A review that I saw on Rate Your Music basically said that there are only 1,000 copies of this made, and that's kind of how it was back in 2020, 2021. But I look within the tone as far as saying, I'd question if it is available nowadays if you wanted to purchase it, because it is some good type flair. This is basically like an expansion packed Freak Show, which is definitely some excellent type pitch. It's going to get more fair within that. So it's just within the tone. This is definitely something you definitely should be cursing your luck. I mean, there may be some folks that feel like this product may not be worth the appeal or the money as far as those pitches can happen, but it definitely is. I would not pay attention to like the critic type of appeal. It is within the aspect. It's simple enough to say if you like Freak Show, this is an easy kind of aspect of just having some bona fide type moments just to get some further vicious aspects just within that haunting type flair. I mean, it nails it. In some cases, it's like a few remix type songs that do some better aspects. I definitely feel like, I mean, Bags, the original song was pretty excellent. I did like the production and overall composition of that particular song, but the Vampirate mix on this particular product does pretty excellently on here, puts a new spin on it, and Leave Me Alone is probably the better song out of the one that was on the original Freak Show. So it's just a good type of feel, but there's definitely some ones on here just to say, just blistering type ones, just to get within that. Definitely feel like more artists need to have like more loose type songs that they just have around these particular times to throw on some of these products, especially if it's like 20 years later as far as those fairs can happen. But I look after it. So let's go down the list of some of these songs. Probably the most immediate song I would go for in terms of like the most, like the quality that this has, like the most put together, not necessarily most put together, but like the most like immediate in terms of the sense of like the one I would make like a beeline for would be track 8. Now the thing about track 8 is just the fact that the original track 8 on Freak Show is People Are Strange, which I've noticed, it's not to have slashes against Twiztid, but I've noticed that they don't seem to have as much commonplace, like as much real kind of like appreciation for People Are Strange. Maybe it's just because it's a cover song. It's just within the pitch that like maybe the copyrights have kind of been more diminished in nowadays times. But People Are Strange is definitely one of Twiztid's best songs. I just have to say that's definitely one of the best songs off the original Freak Show. Definitely track that one down. Hopefully it doesn't get removed from later products of the album. I would definitely say that's one of the best songs on there. Great cover song. Twiztid needs to do way more cover songs within that pitch, because just the way that they nailed that swampy type song is just real excellent type of appeal. But this song is called Track 8, so it's just when the pitch doesn't really have a name, just called Track 8 on here. So apparently that was going to be maybe like the song that People Are Strange that wound up replacing, was just in the pitch that Track 8's the vicious type one, real immediate one. Like I was saying, it's like a demolished and hella swampy kind of head slide gonna get here. Great miry kind of evening slag, definitely I would feel like, and it goes great with People Are Strange, just to be able to say that. So both these songs, good 1-2 punch. Get the original Freak Show, get this particular bonus product as well. Some of that haunting tightness. This is typical Twiztid here, just that miry, just kind of just head torn up, just kind of slag like that aspect, like October, just in the aspect, really having too much smokage in your system. Some of those type fairs that just feeling woozy and really appreciating it. It's really like, it's just real demonic and demolished type feel that just has like some aspects that really just have the delivery upon it real heavily. I'd have to say this is the sort of stuff that, this is like an easy way to get more money. Like nowadays, folks, when they drop these songs, they just drop deluxe editions. But this is like a good type concept of getting like something to breathe new life into something like Freak Show. And this is an excellent example of that. So it really has the haunting aspect in spades on here. That's an original song on top of that. So there are 2 remixes out of the 5 songs on here, but the other 3 songs are all excellent, as well as all 5 of these songs, like I was saying, I recommend, plus the intro. So basically, Bad Luck Magnet with Blaze You Dead Homies, another excellent type 1. It's like a typical kind of electro revved up hang up bop. Bad Luck Magnet's like a typical kind of electro revved up kind of hangout bop to kind of get here. Just some homies, smoke several. I would definitely feel like good concept of that pizza boxes everywhere, pitch like that, get some dominoes, PlayStation on some of that type fare, just hella swishers in the air, backwoods, some of that type goodness. Figure out some night fare as far as those pitch kind of happen. I would recommend within that song. It's kind of a primer for some of that type fare, just kind of a little bit of home, a little bit of more residential type hangout before figuring out what's going to happen for the night as far as those fares going to happen. Get a little bit of primer as far as figuring out what's going to happen. Get to step in as far as those pitch going to happen. Get some excitement going. Just the concept of getting ready to get towards it. Get the bell is called up as far as those pitch going to happen. Figure out what's going to happen for the night. Just some good type tones for that. Now the concept of this song has a little bit more tones, like within the pitch behind it, talking about Bad Luck Magnet on this particular song, but this is a good type conic. It's pretty similar to like I Fall Apart. That was a pretty demonic type song, just about paranoia and pitches like that. It's a good type pitch to have for some of that. I mean, Twiztid has some pretty good songwriting. They're definitely like, I would say, like a dark version of like Tupac, some of that type flair. They have good lyricism. They're not necessarily lyricist full bound, like when you think of like Kendrick or like Lil Wayne or some of those type of folks that full blown shred, but they're kind of like a horrorcore version of Afro Man, and like a more kind of like gothic version of like Ludacris or Tupac, some of those type folks. So it's just a good pitch, kind of get some of that. They do have put together lyrics, and Blaze Your Dad assists this song pretty well, so it's a good type of appeal for that. This definitely should have been on there. All Together is a nice one as well. All Together is a nice one as well. It's like a hollow kind of malaise and straight through kind of basic club burn up to kind of get here. Thing what I mean by that is straight through is this concept doesn't really have a hook on here, which is strange, but it's just within the pitch. It just nails it just in the aspects like the delivery of the song and like the background vocals on there as far as this pitch kind of having very catchy. Definitely like a good electro hit and like a minimal kind of dance hitter kind of get here. So it just feels like something, same sort of energy as like We Don't Die, some of those type ones, but just like a more just straight, just jostle, just going right through it. Just kind of the energy continued all the way through. It's actually pretty revved up type one within the pitch, a little bit more revved up than Bad Luck Magnet, a little bit more revved up than Bad Luck Magnet, I'd have to say, but it's just a good type buzz type song, kind of get within that fare behind it. Definitely, I feel like this is another song that probably should have been on the original Freak Show, because it just didn't seem like they had very many moments like this. I think apart from maybe We Don't Die, maybe like 1 or 2 other ones. I mean, I don't remember his full bound. I mean, the last time I listened full blown to Freak Show was probably back in like the mid 2010s, but I do have like a number of gems off there, but I look after it like All Together is definitely one of those type ones that just has like some club kind of juggalo 2-step type music, just the standard fare, like some good bounce about it. So it's just good type fare for that. FS20, which is also known as Freak Show 20, is a nice one. This is a simple intro, but I do like it enough to be able to say it's recommendable. It's like a good sequel to the Freak Show intro from the original. I had to say it's just way too short though. I feel like the same sort of demonic vocalist, I want to say that was Legs Diamond, that was on the original intro. He did an excellent job, real perfect job on that one from the year 2000. But this one, like I was saying, is just way too short. Just needed more lines from the Demon Fell on this particular song. It just felt like it was just kind of the pitch behind it. It was good enough to kind of have within that pitch, but it just felt like there needed to be like a few more just things to be said, just a few more extra kind of one-liners or just something to that relative type tone to have a little bit more spark towards it, just within the fare behind it. Probably should have been like maybe 37 or 41 seconds, something like that. Just a little bit, maybe just 10, 12 seconds longer than probably 10 or 12 seconds longer than than what it was, I'd say, within the fare behind it, but still is relatively recommendable. This project is going to get a 10 out of 10 still just from the pitch. I mean, I would almost say, because of this particular, I would almost say a 9.75, but I'm going to give it a 10 just within the flair behind it, because these songs do nail the vibes behind it, so it's just within the pitch. Bags Vampirette Mix is a real nice one as well. It's like a good new spin on like the original Bags. I'd have to say it's just more flittery and kind of grisly. I'd have to say it's kind of a more flittery and grisly kind of late day bustle song kind of get here, and this is like a grab supplies and toke type song. It's like a grab supplies and toke type song kind of get within that conduct. So it's just kind of within the pitch, just city hop type fare, just smoking behind buildings, grabbing like some burritos, eating outside, some of that type fare, eating at like the park, some of those type lines, checking your cell phone, checking Instagram, some of that type fare. I'd have to say just kind of a bustle type one. Just feels like the city hop of just picking up something like maybe getting like a cell phone cover, something like that, just standard errand type running, just in the relative kind of frolic of it, just in the more late summer autumn type fare. I'd have to say compared to the original Bags, which is surprising that this one's called the Vampirette type mix, because it just doesn't feel terribly vampirette. I mean, it feels a little bit flittery, maybe like a bit of gothic bustle about it, but it doesn't necessarily feel as haunting as the original Bags, that I'd say, which just kind of, so that one was just a lot more gothic and Dracula like, but this particular one just feels more of like a city hop kind of, this kind of cloudy day type aspect of this, like the kind of fair, just like a little bit, maybe not so much paranoia, but just kind of this relative unnerving type bustle. I'd have to say about that one, just kind of the tone, but it does work for the appeal. It is recreational. It's not so much like paranoia, like sweating bullets, but it's just kind of the concept of just having like some tones of just like a little bit of emotion, just in like a relative kind of this this unnerving type sense. I'd have to say a good type tone for that, but it is a nice, relatively haunting one. And then Leave Me Alone Toilet Money Mix is like a nice one as well. I like this one better than the original Leave Me Alone. I have to say it's like a better spin on the original. I would definitely have to say here it gives it more of like a cloudy day kind of IDGAF type vibe about it. And by that, if you don't know what IDGAF means, you know, obviously I don't give a fuck, but it's just kind of within the tone behind it. This is like some good makeshift outs to kind of get here, and just has some good makeshift kind of vibes about it. So it's just within the pitch. I just look after it. This particular one just has like an interesting aspect to being able to nail it. Just kind of gives like some relative makeshift. The original Leave Me Alone just felt like a flubbish kind of electro hop type one. Just like a worse version of something that Cottonmouth Kings would kind of do. Just when the pitch was not that tacked or really distinct, I'd say. But this one, it kind of has the concept of just being a little bit more just kind of like the cloudy day, kind of just 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock p.m. type bustle. Maybe picking up like a pizza, just a little bit of long traffic, some of that type fare. Just kind of pissed up, middle fingers high pitch like that. Just would be able to say within the tone as far as those aspects kind of go. Just kind of the standard dredge of just stress relief and pitches like that. Just kind of relative lengthy day, just in the tone, busy type day at work shift pitches like that. Just some relief of just being like, all right, it's time to cut loose a bit. Not quite full blown in flip mode, recreation type mode, but just the concept of that initial relief of just being like, all right, I'm going to loosen up a bit as far as those tones can happen. Just within the tones, I appreciate these aspects. Good rendition, you know, nice rebound that Twiztid had on this particular song, because I probably wouldn't have recommended the original one from what I gathered from that one. But so just the aspect behind it. So yeah, this EP recommended all 6 songs in most fashions. I'd say. I mean, Freak Show 20 was probably the closest thing to Weakling, but it's only because there just weren't enough lines on there. But I still recommend all 6 songs. So 10 out of 10. The social score I'll probably give, like, I would say probably like a 9.75 out of 10. I feel like the quality is definitely on here. These songs are pretty vicious just in the aspect. Definitely some homies type music, some haunting type fare that enhances, definitely some haunting type fare that enhances the original product. Definitely a bonus type package and expansion pack to definitely pick up as far as those fares going to happen. Easy enough to kind of get this. Easy enough to kind of dig this just within the aspect of juggalo type fare and alternative type pitch as far as those pitch can happen with it. Just some good typeness to kind of have for like some extra content, and especially for some primary Twiztid and ICP era from like the early 2000s as far as those fares can happen. So it's definitely a bonus type package, but it gets a 9.75 just because I question like how, I mean, it's supposedly it's available with Magic Ninja Entertainment's website, or supposedly it might be available. It just seems like it's a little bit trickier to track down. I would say if it is actually available and I'm just not knowing it's full blown, I would say the social score would get a 10 out of 10. But if it really is a trickier type project, like some of these, like Twiztid's, like kind of like Twiztid's Toxic Terror EP, some of those type ones are just like Twiztid will do that. They will have like limited edition type products that are a little bit trickier. Sometimes that particularly kind of happens. Like they're just kind of within the aspect. I feel like the quality of this product is definitely here full blown. It's just kind of the project, just the rarity behind it. Now that this happens to be a thing, this boils down to whether or not you can find it just in the tone. But I would definitely say in terms of like the impact and what happens, the social aspects, I like the makeshift on here. I like the bustle, kind of like the city hop type bustle, especially in the haunting aspect. Just some good type tunes. Get some supplies. Get like some Jack Daniels, some vodka, some of those type pitches, some absolute salute some of those type fairs. Hauntingist is to step out, some club hops on here, some good social noise, some hangout type tunes, and just some overall demonicness. This is a great bonus package. So that's the result of it. 9.75 or 10 just in the pitch behind it. But in terms of the future, like Twiztid supposedly put out another project like in November 2024. I know Madrox dropped a project recently, and then there's the House of Crazies and there's also the House of Crazies 2024 project. So there might be a 2024 Twiztid album. Not really as full blown sure, but there are some ones to get to. I'm definitely gonna get some more Twiztid down the road as far as those pitches gonna happen. Probably gonna get to their 2005 album and other pitches like that. But this is definitely a vicious type project here. Easy enough to kind of see that, worth the investment easily. As I'd say, it's worth tracking down, but just understand the concept. It might be rare if it's just within the pitch. If it isn't, I would definitely scoop this up.